If you listen to the critics, if you listen to your own doubts and call them reasons, you may never find the drive to go back to school. But a little change in direction, a new perspective, and the right program may make your successful new path a reality. The Accelerated Degree Program at Albright College. Start your degree or complete your degree one night a week in as little as 2 years. Albright College, a different way of thinking.
Good evening, and welcome to the Albright Scholar for December 2017. My name is John Pankratz. I teach history at Albright, and each month it's my privilege to welcome BCTV viewers and residents of Greater Reading to take a look inside our learning community up here on North 13th Street, to look at the work being done by teachers and students, and to think about its impact on all of us. Well, last Saturday, or was it Friday afternoon, I participated in a really wonderful event that seemed to have a large impact on the Reading community. The Reading Samba School, a brainchild of my colleague A.J. Merlino, invited members of the community, and both from Albright and then from Reading in general, to come and hear music and to share in some holiday cheer and to meet Santa Claus as well. Tonight we're going to talk about the Reading Samba School. We're going to talk about A.J. Merlino in his absence, and we're going to talk about music industry studies at Albright College. And helping me to address those topics are a senior, Kylie Johnston.
Hello.
Kylie, welcome to the show. And Janelle Decker, who's a music educator here in Pennsylvania and a member of the Reading Samba School as well.
Yes,
welcome
sir.
to both of you.
Thank you for having us.
Happy holidays.
You as well.
Let's talk a little bit about the curriculum at Albright, and then we'll talk about this wonderful outreach, this very inclusive community music movement that's happening with the Samba School. Kylie, you came into Albright planning to study music industry.
Yes, I did, all 4 years, and I'm rounding that out now. I'm a senior, so.
Yeah, so seminars and stuff like that.
Yep, the whole shebang.
Okay, Albright, of course, doesn't have a music performance major. That's done at a number of schools. Janelle, of course, you went to Kutztown and got lots of training on your instrument there. What interested you in the industry as opposed to being a musician yourself?
So it's interesting, when I came into Albright, I wanted to do something completely different than what I wanted to do now. I wanted to be a manager, so this was the perfect fit for that.
Okay.
Not being a musician, I couldn't audition to get in somewhere. This was the perfect place to be. Since I've been here over the past 4 years, that's kind of evolved to different things. I'm more interested in teaching higher ed now, but it's still a good place to be for that. So I'm really thankful that I found it, because it is quite unique.
Yeah.
Other schools around.
The strategy is to teach three aspects of music, right?
Right. So it's like business and artistry, and then we get little pieces of technology thrown in there with it as well. So.
Right. So you have to understand something of music and history, and make some music as well, right? But then also really solid courses in the industry studies, in business and strategies and contracts and law.
Yeah, exactly.
And that sort of thing. And then also some training in music production, music recording, and working with the electronics of it, so you know how it's made. I think it's a nice program combining those different elements.
Yeah, you learn a lot and are kind of prepared to go into multiple facets of the industry, so that's really nice. Even if you change your mind like I did, you're still prepared.
Right, right. And there are a number of activities just on campus that music industry studies majors and faculty share with the community. One of them is Albright Idol, and I was fortunate to see their showcase the other month, and that was a great show and some really fabulous performances.
Yeah. We also have the forum that takes place every spring, and that's a good one too. And you get to meet.
I wanted to bring that up as well.
I'm stepping on your toes a little bit.
The music industry forum, and there you bring practicing professionals
Right.
onto campus to talk about the work being done there and sort of make one's studies feel relevant.
Yeah, make those connections outside of the college, which is something you don't get to do every day when you're here. So.
Right. It's interesting. Albright's legacy in the music industry predates music industry studies at Albright. A long time ago, a guy named Bob Spitz went to Albright as a history major. Ended up becoming the manager for a fellow named Bruce Springsteen in the E Street Band, and then became Elton John's manager before he went on to become a full-time writer and biographer of the Beatles.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm a historian and telling you. And then another fellow, Paul Sinclair.
Yeah.
And Paul, of course, has been back to campus a number of times, and he works for Atlantic Records. And, is just a fabulous person. And I think he was pretty much just a business major with a great passion for music.
I know when I came in, my freshman year, we had the first batch of seniors graduating with the full, they had started in the music industry program. So that was still pretty new when I got here as well.
Yeah, so it's fresh. Yeah, but it certainly had a big impact.
Yeah.
As well, and a number of faculty teaching full-time and then also as adjuncts as well. So you've worked with AJ in a number of courses and also worked in with Jesse.
Yep.
Jesse Clark. Well, we give people their full credit
Some
there.
context.
Good. We should introduce AJ, and we have a wonderful video interview that the Reading Eagle prepared in fairly recently, I think. It only has 221 views on YouTube. So let's see one more view, and we'll let him talk about what he does.
When I was a kid, in third grade we had all pick instruments, and I wanted to play guitar.
Okay.
And they didn't have guitar instruction available, and you know, guitarists look so cool on stage, so I figured out the second best would be a drummer, right? I went to school at Kutztown University. It was my undergrad, and I wanted to be a performer more than anything. I moved out to Vegas for my master's and doctorate, and once I got out to Vegas and was actually performing full time, I realized I just didn't like it anymore. My instructor out there, Kurt Rasmussen, he had a samba school out there, Mocidade Rebelde, and I played in it for 4 years and I loved it. So I wanted to bring something like that back here. I thought it would be a good contribution to the community. We took the name Reading Samba School not because we just play samba music. One is because we use Brazilian drums, but two, it's because the samba schools in Brazil are community organizations. They're really developed to bring the community in to have this artistic atmosphere. It's for everyone, right? It's not exclusive to drummers, not exclusive to musicians. So really our goal is to bring just the musical appreciation to the community. The drumming is second to that. There's not one street or one area of a town, or there's not one hub that you go to find all the artists. The artists are everywhere around you. We have so many nonprofit organizations just dedicated to perpetuating the arts that it's pretty inspiring.
Thanks to Jeremy Dre for doing that wonderful piece. Maybe I should turn it off so it doesn't keep going. There we go. AJ makes some really wonderful points there about this being an organization that brings community and college together. Janelle, you followed this organization since its inception?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. 4 years ago, AJ and I were just talking about it today when we started. And we actually started in Kutztown's percussion studio as a small group. As Dr. Merlino, myself, and another very popular instructor of ours, Drew West. And I remember getting these rhythms and instruments together with AJ and having absolutely no idea what was going on or the ideas he had in his head. And we started this 3 people, now growing to well over 30.
Right.
And here we are at Albright College, and what a long way we've come. It's been fabulous.
It really has, and students like Kylie and Natalie and others and Savannah are enthusiastic participants.
Yes.
But then also just people of all ages from the community. How did AJ go about recruiting these participants?
Well, I think it was a lot of word of mouth, actually, because once we got out of Kutztown, we were doing a lot of things in the basement of Earth Rhythms on Penn Ave over here.
Right.
And through Earth Rhythms, people were hearing about us. More people would join us, downstairs in the small basement. Then we started growing out of our basement. And before you knew it, more Kutztown college students were talking to their friends. Later, AJ got hired at Albright. So, of course, I think that really helped, was that Albright connection for him, because that gave him a really good gateway into the greater community at hand here. So he's able to use his connections through the university, getting interns, and interns telling those students. So I really think it's grown immensely, especially since he's been at Albright College.
Yeah. And of course, you have the use of RuPaul as a rehearsal space.
Yes, which is
drums,
really great.
Drums sound great outside.
Especially the Brazilian drums.
That's right, because they have an incredible sound production.
Yes.
And everything. And so does the Samba School or does Albright own the drums, or are they personal possessions of people? Or?
They're owned by the Samba School, which is why we love to accept donations, because then we can continue to afford these things. And we're able to offer these instruments to our members totally for free. So anyone can join us Wednesdays, 6 to 7:30 in RuPaul.
Right.
And the instruments and everything is total access and free to the public, just as long as you come.
And it's powerful, powerful music making. The wonderful thing about drums is individual drum parts can be fairly simple, but then when they're assembled together, they create something really complex.
Absolutely. Sometimes I liken it to even learning the drum set. They talk about learning your independence. Your right hand's doing something, your left hand's doing something, your foot's doing something, and you have to think of it all at once instead of little by little. And it's overwhelming. I can understand to someone, especially a lot of our non-musicians who come to join us.
Right.
There's these very, very intricate rhythms that are happening all at once, and it's hard not to listen to your neighbor who's doing something completely different than you are. But it is amazing how in such a very short time these members coming, especially our, again, non-experienced musicians, in such a short time just learning by rote how much they progress, and something like our batucada is able to come together with all these very intricate percussion parts, and it's something that I would think even some seasoned professionals would have trouble getting a handle on.
Right. I think it's such a great metaphor for community because it lets people know what they're contributing to the whole, but then it also makes a whole that's harmonious and powerful and meaningful. Kylie, you were not a percussionist originally, were you?
Definitely not.
No.
No, I became an intern for the Samba School, and originally I was just going to be a business intern because I do not play. And AJ was like, I really think this would be good for you to learn how the ensemble works, learn how they're teaching these students, even though this might not be what you want to teach, this is going to be good for you. And it's taken a while, but I've taken to it after I started in February, so a few months. I'm learning now, so it's a really fun thing to be a part of.
Yeah, and you're really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And are you playing the big drums, or are you playing other percussion pieces?
I'm trying my hardest to play the big drums. Our surdos are like the big bass drums of the ensemble, but I play the caisha. That's what I started with. That's like the snare drum for our ensemble.
Right. And as AJ mentioned in the video, these are Brazilian instruments.
Correct.
By origin. Did he do some training in Brazil himself, or?
He hasn't been to Brazil. However, he has studied with Carlinhos Brown, who's one of the largest composers for this type of Brazilian music, as well as Kurt Rasmussen, very popular out in Vegas.
That
with
was
the
his
group.
mentor out at University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
You got it. You got it. So he studied very closely with him, and they had their own samba group out in Las Vegas, which he did for several years. So he's bringing all that West Coast experience over here to us now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's wonderful. It's wonderful that Brazil is thriving. I'm not even sure you remember Kylie, but in the history department, we once had a wonderful colleague named Betsy Kitty, who was a Brazilianist and who studied Afro-Brazilian religious brotherhoods in Brazil, and those were always accompanied by music and dance, by drumming and dance. And so this kind of music making, she would have been just thrilled that this is going on and would have been a part of it. So it's great for me every time I hear it. Does it continue to grow? It's different sizes at different performances, right?
Yeah, and sometimes that's either called by AJ himself or just, again, since we're a community ensemble, it's tough. Everyone has different schedules, so sometimes we're a very large group or sometimes it's a very select group.
But the music itself is flexible. It can work. It can work with 10. It can work with 30.
Absolutely. Yeah, sorry. I didn't know where I was going with that.
Great. How many of your fellow music industry majors are playing in the group?
I think it flexes a little bit throughout the year just because of obligations people have as students.
Yeah.
Usually we have like 3 or 4 Albright students that attend rehearsal every week. There's a couple, right now there's 2 interns. Myself and Natalie Wiley are both interns for the Rang Samba School right now. But it does fluctuate from week to week.
So it becomes part of your studies.
Right. And it helps a lot, just knowing that dynamic. Since it's not something we're always a part of, I'm not in any of the ensembles, it helps to get that dynamic of being in a large ensemble.
Right. And all the pressures and all the
Right.
opportunities and,
Yes.
and some of the gratification as well. And as an intern, what kinds of things are you doing?
Lots of emails, but recently, as you had mentioned, I helped plan Samba with Santa, and that was my big project for the semester, helping to formulate that, market that, get the music together for that. It was an experience, and I really didn't know how to do a lot of that going into it. So
you contacted some of the student groups that played. We had a trombone trio.
Yeah.
We had a wonderful jazz band. Janelle, you and AJ and a percussionist friend played some wonderful jazz for
Thank you.
flute, piano, and percussion, and then Albright Improv performed, and then the Albright Angels and Main Men performed throughout the
yeah, it was
afternoon as well.
a really good way to bring different sectors of the college together that play very different types of music. So it was cool to have them all in one spot.
Exactly.
Yes.
But sort of a holiday theme.
Yeah.
Yep.
To it as well. And I noticed there were people who were probably on the Albright campus for the first time.
Yeah, we had much community.
How did you get the word out to so many people in
We
the community?
advertised in a lot of local businesses. We also have all the social media accounts. We don't really know who that is reaching to all the time.
Right.
So we did reach out to all the schools in the area and let them know what was going on and things like that. So I was really, really happy to see the amount of community that actually came to the event.
Yeah, they were, and of course with Santa there, people were just,
Right.
just amazed. So that was really delightful to see. Do you think that's going to become an annual thing now that you've set such a high standard?
I hope so. It went really well. Obviously, we hoped for that, but I think it kind of exceeded expectations.
Right, and I think all the pieces and all the parts, they can come together every year.
Yeah, and I think it'll only get better from there. I heard as early as today that we had almost well over 300 people show up. So I can only imagine what future years would be like with that. Yeah.
No, it was a great vibe, great feeling. I enjoyed myself. Are you going to have a hand in the planning of the Music Industry Forum That's coming up in April, is that right? Or?
As a senior, I kind of take a step back a little bit. So this is
Okay.
actually one of the first forums since my freshman year that I'm kind of just attending this year. So I'm really
Okay, so
excited
you get
for
to
that.
enjoy yourself,
Yes.
and you don't have to have all the headaches and
Exactly.
and handle all the logistics.
Mm-hmm.
So some of your junior and sophomore friends the pressure is going to be
They
on
may
them.
feel the pressure a little bit more.
Yeah. But there are elements to that are available to the public as well.
Yeah, we do. I think in past years we've charged a small fee, a couple dollars if
Right.
you're a community member,
To
but
help
you
transport some of the,
Right.
the speakers in.
because we do have to pay for those speakers coming in. But yeah, you just register online through Albright's website, and then anyone's welcome to come.
Great. And I've attended a number of those. And then there are often performances connected with
Yeah,
those as well.
we have. We usually bring in an outside performer as well as Albright students performing. So that's a cool mix of stuff going on.
Yeah. It's a remarkable and delightful thing. Albright doesn't have a music performance major, and so almost everybody who's producing music, whether it's in the choir, the band, or the orchestra, is doing it out of love.
Yeah, they're doing it on their own time a lot of the time. So
Yeah. And sometimes majoring in music industry, but sometimes majoring in biochemistry, and sometimes in
Yeah.
political science, and all over the map. And I think when you have an organization like the Reading Samba School, bringing that talent, bringing that energy, and then sharing it with other people is a great model. At the beginning of this show, every month, I talk about the impact of work being done by students and teachers on the Reading community, and this is certainly a sterling example of how that can happen. Great. Kylie, what are your plans after you graduate? Not to put it again any pressure on you, but
looking at some grad schools, so hopefully looking into studying music theory further. So that's kind of where my sights have shifted, music theory and music history, so pursuing that more.
oh, how interesting! Yeah. And do you have favorite musical traditions that
I'm still
influence
learning.
you as a?
Still learning. I actually took a jazz course this year that I found very, very interesting. So I'm getting more into that side of things, taking it slightly away from the classical route of learning about music and bringing it into the 20th and 21st century. So it's
Right.
becoming a little more interesting.
Yeah, there is 21st century classical music as
Yep.
as well. And Janelle, your day job is teaching music up
Yes,
in
sir.
the sort of the northern tier of Pennsylvania,
Yes.
up where it may be snowing tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I think we'll be closed tomorrow, but we'll see. Knock on
Okay,
wood.
cross fingers as well. But the other night at the Samba Santa, really enjoyed hearing you play the flute.
Thank you.
Everything.
I really appreciate that.
Great. And one of these months we'll have AJ on in person, and not just his video avatar performing for us. And it would have been fun to crowd the Samba School into the studio, but I think then we would have probably all needed hearing aids after
Absolutely.
that, because it can be a really impressive and really moving sound. Great. Well, this has been wonderful to sort of celebrate the holidays and talking about including the Reading community into the educational efforts at Albright. So thank you both for being with me.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so
Great.
much.
Wonderful. And thank you for joining us as well. We'll see all of you in the new year with another edition of the Albright Scholar. All the best for the holiday season. Good night.
If you listen to the critics, if you listen to your own doubts and call them reasons, you may never find the drive to go back to school. But a little change in direction, a new perspective, and the right program may make your successful new path a reality. The Accelerated Degree Program at Albright College. Start your degree or complete your degree one night a week in as little as 2 years. Albright College, a different way of thinking.